Alright, we're at this stop in Indianapolis, and we have a 95 town car that has the rear end that's sagging on it. Now, I've already diagnosed it and I got it back up for them, but we're going to have to come back and swap some parts out and really fix it right and permanently. So what I'll show you real quick, since I already diagnosed it, is how I diagnosed it and what to look for on these. Alright, now the first thing I checked is make sure that when the doors are closed, like so, that the door ajar goes away, and it does. That's very important because it will not turn the air compressor on with any doors ajar on there. So that's good. That checks out, so it's seeing that. And the air suspension light was on inside here saying there was a fault. And you start the car up, back end's obviously low, and it would not pump up. So the next thing I did is I went to the engine compartment, start checking fuses and jumpering stuff around on there. Okay, so under the hood here on the passenger side is the fuse panel that contains the relay, which is a regular standard relay, and of course the 30 amp fuse for the air compressor. So you just take that out of there. We can start verifying a few things on here. Now the fuse, let me see, where am I at? The fuse is right there, so it's very easy to check, see if it's blown. You can either test it with a multimeter or look through the little window on here and make sure it's not blown. Now this one was blown, obviously, so we changed it out, and it of course blew again. Now when the fuses on here blow, that usually means the air compressor themselves have locked up. So when the relay turns it on the module, of course too much amperage ensues and it blows it like it's supposed to. So what I did is I jumpered this, got rid of that since I had any 30 amps. And the next thing I did is I went over to the relay right here, which conveniently they tell you everything right here on the fuse panel lid, unlike the newer cars which don't tell you anything. So this is kind of nice. This right here is the relay. Like I said, it's a standard relay. It's not a solid state like the newer vehicles, so it's very they barely ever fail on here. So I decided to take it out. Let's bypass it, and what I did is I verified I now have power coming in. Okay, so we'll go over it right here. This one, and I believe this one, should get constant power from that 30 amp fuse. Now after that, it's up to, where is it at here? It's up to the air suspension module to give it a ground right here to turn on the relay, and then it will turn, in turn, send power out, that 30 amp power, to here, and that goes out to the air suspension compressor over there. Now on the town cars and the Grand Marquis, Crown Vics, stuff like that that have air ride, the compressor is hidden underneath the air filter housing box right here. It's right underneath it, so you just have to pull the washer jug out of the way and the air filter box, pull it out of the way, and then you can get access to it. So once I had power coming to it, proper power coming to it, it turned on and it sounded just fine on there. So at this point I knew the compressor could turn on and sounded good, but I didn't know if it was pulling too much amperage and locking up at times. So what I did is I found a fuse, and I was able to put the 30 amp fuse back in here so we have a proper fuse, and then put the relay back in so the air suspension module can do its job with turning the relay on and controlling the compressor. And of course, once it does that and it sees there's no fault, that air suspension light goes off, and then it starts controlling solenoids in the rear of the car and it starts airing the system up. So at this point, with all this back together and powered up, compressor coming on, air suspension solenoids coming on, and the back end coming up, we know the module's good, compressor's good, lines are good, and of course the airbags are capable of turning on. There's air spring solenoids up in there and filling, and it filled in about 3 to 5 minutes, which is normal for, you know, a car that's totally down. Now this one over here is way down to the ground, okay, done for, right? Whereas this side over here, it was down, but it wasn't down so far, and the reason being is the air spring on this side was changed already, whereas this side, check it out, this one is just done for. It's like mush. Let's get underneath here. You can see it up in there, how bad it is, and it's gonna be fine up there where it's straight, where it rolls over is where it gets really gummy and starts cracking like that and losing air. And especially when you go down the road, you may have a big crack in there that's rolled over right now, and then you go down the road, hit a bump, suspension goes up, airbag extends, and it starts leaking out like crazy on there. And that's when the air compressor comes on and corrects over and over again, which can overheat it and cause that fuse to blow also. So just because that fuse blows doesn't always mean that it's a bad air compressor that's seizing up in there. It can be overworked compressor due to faulty airbags in the back here. Now the good thing about these is that they're very easy to change. There's a clip up top, a connector for the air spring solenoid, and then this part right down here where it clips into the axle, it literally take a pry bar in there, you pop it up out of there, and the whole thing comes out of there. The trick is to deflate them so you can safely remove them, which obviously won't be an issue with these. So right here you can see the whole left side is tweaked to the left, and the reason why is because there's only one height sensor back here. Therefore it pumps it up to the spec for voltage, and that's it. Whereas the right airbag holds and it pumps up okay, and the left hand side just leaks like crazy. So the whole thing's tweaked to the left. It's pretty bad. But once it powers up and pumps it up, it holds, and it's at the ride height at least. It's not a totally blown out airbag, but this is very common on these, especially older vehicles. They start cracking and losing air, and in this case quite rapidly. Okay, so we got it diagnosed. We found the air ride compressor was seizing up in there intermittently, blowing the 30 amp fuse, and that's all due to the rear air spring on there leaking basically from age, and it just disintegrates, and then it starts getting cracks in the bag, and then the air ride compressor constantly is coming on, so it's overheating, seizing up in there. So we're going to have to change out the air ride compressor, some solenoids, and of course the air springs in the back to make this thing fully operational. And like I said before, these air ride systems, they can get quite complicated to diagnose, especially if you're not there in person to do it. So it's best to come out, look at it for yourself, and see exactly what it needs so you can change it and nothing more. So this is a successful diagnosis. I'm glad I had everything to do it. We're going to order the parts and we're going to head on out of here. It's getting really late and we need to head over to Cincinnati yet. So we'll keep you updated.